Greg Giraldo, welcome to the Tomano Touhy radio show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, guys. How you doing?
Very funny man. Greg Giraldo joining us, one of the best comics in the country. And I got to ask you, you're working hard on Last Comic Standing. You guys are all very, very cordial to these comedians. That's nice. It's very refreshing on one of these contest shows to see people not get a new one ripped every time they maybe fall short of perfection.
I honestly didn't put much thought into it. A lot of people are saying, well, you're trying to take a nicer tone than the other shows or anything else. We weren't always super nice at the beginning, but then, at a certain point, you've picked people 3 times already. What are you gonna say? Sometimes I feel like, maybe I would just kind of be a little redundant, telling everybody they were great. But it's also like with stand up. People, they're not going to get funny and unfunny, week to week. They're basically going to be good all the time.
Yeah,
once you think they're good.
They have it. And the thing is, I think comedians are nice towards other comics, even when they're not stellar, because they know how absolutely difficult it is to get up there and try to make people laugh.
Yeah, I mean, especially at the beginning, when you're just doing the early audition rounds, and you're just, it's just the 3 of us in a room with people. A guy walks up to the mic by himself, trying to, it's brutal to try to do that.
It is indeed.
Now we talked with Andy Kindler a couple of weeks ago and asked him this. How was it, because you've been doing comedy for so long and working the road, how is it when someone walked up there and you knew them? You knew them already previously.
Well, if I liked them and I knew they were funny, then it was no big deal. It was going to be fine. If I knew that they weren't going to be funny, or if I hated them,
right?
Then it was a nice chance to let the world come full circle.
Yeah, right. Now, look, Last Comic Standing. This is the big finale.
Yeah. Now Ron White got kicked off last week, right?
I think he passed.
Did he move on? Now, how come I noticed this week we're going to have Kathy Griffin. How come you and Natasha and Andy aren't doing sets?
We are tonight. We're doing sets
tonight. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Natasha turns me on. But that laugh I would have to jump out of a window eventually. She's definitely hot, and she's definitely funny. Some people don't like to laugh, some people do. It would be okay for a little while.
My fiance loves it.
Yeah, so it depends on when. Now, Greg, I got to ask you. You're always a highlight of the roasts. Okay.
Yeah.
But those things, there's sometimes when those wheels are going to come off the track. It's got to be hard to be in the presence of a Courtney Love and know that she's completely strung out and scuzzy. Yeah. Did you have to sit next to her or anything?
Oh yeah, I was right behind her during the Pamela Anderson roast, and then, in fact, right when the roast ended, she came up to me like at the after party thing, and she was so she just pressed her face up against my face, and she goes, "You have angst.
You have angst,
angst," and punches me in the chest, and I thought, man, when Kurt Cobain's widow tells you that you have angst, you really might want to start.
She's noticed that she should have noticed it a little earlier on her husband. Now, Greg, let me ask you a question. What did her breath smell like? How rotten was her breath?
At that point, it smelled like mostly Patron and failed dreams.
The stench of stale dreams. And of course, William Shatner. He's a great dude. He was a great one.
Shatner was cool. Yeah, I don't remember much about that. I mean, that one feels like it was ages ago. Although I don't know, they all become kind of a blur at a certain point. Sure. It becomes a little formula at a certain point. They're all so fat that blah blah blah, so gay that blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it has a certain. It's affected because you have to just tear someone to shreds. But I remember the Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn. What a great format! Watching you and Nick DiPaolo, just the best of the best, tearing up the day's events. That was a great format. What happened with that? It just didn't just last, or what?
I don't know exactly what ended up happening, why exactly, but I think it was a borderlining case, one of those borderline cases, and then with the ratings, and I'm not sure. Colin had a very specific idea for how he wanted the show to work, and he didn't really want to take a lot of network feedback or input, which is great, and that's normally where things get really good when you do that. But maybe that had something to do with it. I'm not exactly sure, but in any event, that's when all my problems started.
Yeah. Well, Greg, you're one of the most honest comedians out there. I got to say, a guy that I feel the same way about the honesty and really fearless is that Mike DiStefano. I love him.
I love Mike D. Yeah.
Yeah, great comic.
Yeah.
Mike D's great, and he's been great on the show. He's been really great on Last Comic Standing, and that's TV censored, and not even TV, but like primetime network TV standards. They really don't let you do much, and for him to be that funny, with all those restrictions on him, is a real sign of how great he is. Yeah, that guy is amazing. He's got an incredible life story too. We're
talking to the great Greg Giraldo, great comic, and judge on Last Comic Standing tonight, 7:00.
Well, that's one of the things that we were wondering about is with each of these acts go up there when they do their set, has it already been approved by the censors and the producers and all that stuff? So each week they know exactly what they're coming out and doing. They can't riff it all.
Word for word. I mean, basically, it's got to go through the standards and practices people, the censors, the network and the producers, and then they clear it for you.
Because doing stand up, there's times that you'll hit on a good joke and the audience reacts a certain way, and it'll take you in another direction. And you'll riff on it. There's no doing that.
Well, the problem is, of course, and live. That's why there's nothing like live, stand up in the clubs or something where you can really be loose. But when you're doing a TV set, first of all, they're so short, that everything's worded. It has to be worded perfectly. If you start going off on a tangent and it doesn't go well, then you're done.
Yeah. Greg, with all the comics we see on Last Comic Standing, all the great talent, and of course all the work that you've done on the road, will the world ever see the raw nerve talent of a Dat fan again come forth? What happened to him? Is he still working?
I think the last I saw of the show. I've watched the show very periodically, bits and pieces over the years, and I know a lot of friends of mine and a lot of people that are good comics have been on there in the past, but there was also times when it's hard to imagine, what the Dat fans of the world winning the whole thing. So, that's what's cool this time around. We were told we'd really be looking for comics that we thought were hilarious, and there were a lot of great comics that competed that didn't advance just because of the nature of the way things worked. But the guys that we ended up with, they were all good, and some were great. So
yeah, I think I just found the name of my new band.
What's that?
The Dat Fans of the World. That's what.
I like that.
There's more than one.
Yeah, maybe not the most self-flattering name you could have thought of. Man.
Well, Greg Giraldo, what's next for you after Last Comic Standing wraps up? You gonna hit the road again?
Yeah, I'm always kind of on the road. I'm shooting a pilot for Spike all this week, all over the country. We're bouncing all over the country, and then the Hasselhoff roast will air on Sunday, and then just stay on the road and see what happens.
All right, man. You are cool, and when you come to town, we would love to have you up in the studios. If that's possible.
I'd love to, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Best to you, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Okay, take care.
Greg Giraldo on the air with us.